Welcome to the Geek Patrol podcast. My name is Cruz, and today I'm going to be showing you how to do 3 different things in 3ds Max. I've noticed that on YouTube, there's some pretty good YouTube tutorials, but once you get to higher levels, a lot of them aren't very comprehensive in the sense that they're coming from a perspective of someone who already knows how to use the software, and not where someone might just on a whim have downloaded this as a student, and you've wanted to learn how to use it in general. So I'm just going to be explaining really briefly how to create objects, set keys for animation, and how to texture objects. 3 very basic things that are actually not animate but render. Today we're going to be rendering one key, which is a frame, like a picture. Anyways, so to start out, you're going to have your 4 viewports. One is for me. One of them is in perspective. One of them is in the front view. One is in the top, and one is to the left. These 3 are typically references for you to find midpoints or to line things up as they might. This is going to be your working viewport, or at least for me. Some people like orthographic, which is a 2-dimensional but 3-dimensional kind of thing, and it's not really my cup of tea. I prefer to work in the perspective viewport, and that's what I'll be working in. You also have your basic tools here. You have to select to move one object, you have your selection tool, your rotation, and your scaling. You have select by objects, a select by list, and there'll be names of objects here. You have a selection box, or to yeah, that's basically what they are. So anyways, to start out by creating an object here, we're going to we're going to go to our Create tab, which is this first tab on this toolbar to the right. It should come pre-programmed with this. If it's not, you can leave a comment, and I will make a video for you on how to replace this toolbar here. Because if it's not there, then there's obviously a problem. Because this is definitely the most useful, and this is actually the best toolbar you have. It's the most essential one. So to start off, we're going to be making a box. All right, and so you just click and drag once where you want the box to be created, and then you scale it out 2-dimensionally. Then you let it go, and then you pull up or down depending on how tall you want it, because it'll click, and then you click again, and then that deselects it. Let me just switch to smooth and see. This is smooth and highlights, and these 3 are in a wireframe, which is just like an outline of what you've just made. So if I switch this to smooth and highlights, see how it changes the look of objects. There's also hidden lines, which is a lot like wireframe at this point. There's flat, which makes everything 2-dimensional, but you can't really tell here. If I do it here, though, it kind of gets rid of all those curves that it had. For example, if you go to smooth and highlights, it shades things. It makes it look 3-dimensional. But if you just go to flat, it kind of makes it look like butter at this point. Anyways, so back to smooth and highlights, what you're going to want to do is you want to click edged faces. And that might not look like it's doing a lot right now, but it actually puts the wireframe over the smooth and highlights. So when you go to your modifier tab here, there's going to be tons of stuff we're using in this tutorial series in this modifier tab. But right now, I'm just going to these are all the modifiers that you can apply. But for now, all we're going to need to do is the basic box modifiers, which you can increase the segments the length segments. As you see there, it increases your width, which will be over here. Oh, I guess, never mind. Oh, that was still length. Just kidding. Anyways, so it'll be here, like that, and in your height segments, which will increase that way, laterally. So let's just do 5, 5, and 5 for now. It doesn't really matter at this point. And so next thing we're going to do is we're going to texture objects. We're going to go to the material editor, and that's this globe looking thing with squares on it, and you're going to get all these little circles with with stuff. Sometimes it comes pre-programmed, but mine are clear because I animate quite a bit, and I have it set so that there's no template selected. If you do have something, it'll say architectural and design here. Make sure you go to standard. That's right here. It's all alphabetical, by the way. So you're gonna select standard, and you just double click it. Very easy. And from here, you're gonna see these different color light types, which is ambient, diffuse, and specular. You're gonna go to this empty box next to diffuse, and you're gonna click. And then you're gonna select a bitmap. There's some pre-programmed textures in here, like wood and waves. That's waves is more of a light modifier. Anyways, so you're gonna click bitmap, right? And so that's going to lead you to a folder that you have pre-selected or not pre-selected of pictures that you can use to texture your objects. Some of these will look familiar as I use them in my spaceship animation that I uploaded a couple days ago. Anyway, so we're gonna just make this a cactus textured box. So here's our cactus texture, and we're gonna make sure we have the box selected, and you're going to assign material to selection. And so with that, you can go to your rendered frame window, and you can hit render. And then from here, it'll give you your viewport, and that is top, front, left. You're gonna want to make sure it says perspective if you're working in perspective, or you're gonna have to hit camera later on when we're animating. So just hit render, and it should just pop up pretty quickly. And see, there's our cube, but it also has the cactus texture on it. But say you don't like the size of the cactus, texture. See how it it's seamless, which is nice, but say you don't necessarily like how it looks. What you're gonna do is you're gonna go here and you're going to change the tiling on it. Typically, you're gonna want to make sure these numbers are the same, unless you have like an oblong texture shape or some odd shape that you're gonna have. And see how it adds more cubes? That's per face. So or if I change it to like 0.5, it'll only show half of the texture. So I'll go to 0.5, and I'll render again, and there's that. See how it works? That's pretty much the basics at that point. And you also have the option to mirror it or tile it laterally and vertically. So for example, I can mirror both of them, and it'll come out looking a little bit different. A little bit weirder, but sometimes you want one side tiled and one side mirrored, depending on, just depending on how it looks or how you end up wanting it to look. Say you want to make something, look just slightly different. See how it changes the pattern depending on how it's mirrored. Anyways, so moving on, let's just practice all of our skills for today. So we're gonna go to Create tab. These are just your standard primitives. There are tons of other things that we're going to explore in my tutorial series. There's different types of lines, lights, cameras, helpers, space warps, which is like explosions, and wind and gravity systems, and it's really cool stuff, and I'll get into it later. But let's just make a teapot for now, because I like teapots, and I drink tea every day, or almost every day. But so you're just gonna drag that out. And so that's our teapot, and now we're going to go to our material editor. We're going to go to a blank globe, and we're going to select diffuse, not the ambient or specular. However, I believe it does work to an extent, just not as well. Diffuse is the best one. You're going to click on bitmap, and you don't have the same textures I do, but let's go with this. Any picture works as a texture, by the way. I could have something on my desktop, for example, like I could have any of these pictures, all these memes I have. Let's choose Peter Griffin. I just saw Peter Griffin somewhere. Alright, here. We'll choose Peter Griffin. That's the texture we're applying. And we're gonna assign material to selection. And so we'll click it, and then we're going to kind of rotate so maybe I can see Peter Griffin better. and we're going to render frame window. And there's a Peter Griffin. There's a Peter Griffin teapot with with Cleveland there. And so that's the basics of animation. I'll do it one more time, just real quickly. This time I won't really explain what I'm doing. Try and do this by yourself a couple of times with different objects. Really explore the objects that are given to you. You know, we have planes, which are kind of like boxes, and they're tubes. And by the way, just real quick, Torus, you might be afraid to check because it's not really a shape that most people are familiar with. It's just a donut. It's a donut. And so, I'll just select all. Oh, whoops, that's not right. Oh, not right either. There we go. So I'll just select all of them. No, that is not the tool I selected. Anyways, selection region. No, what are you? Okay, click. Okay. No, stop. That's not what I'm clicking. Okay, there we go. There we go. Okay, so sometimes you need to cancel a command. Like I wasn't right clicking. You need to cancel commands with right clicks occasionally. It's not really set in stone. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I can't really explain that. But we'll go to textures, and let's just make all of this like a corrugated steel texture. And we'll apply to selection, and we'll zoom out a little bit so we can see our kingdom of corrugated steel. And we'll render now. And there's all our corrugated steel objects, which kind of look cool next to each other. Oh, and if you look at this plane really quickly, it actually assigns very well because that's the kind of thing it was made for. It's just this corrugated steel panel. Anyways, thanks for watching. Oh, right, by the way, to pan into a viewport, you can scroll in and out with your mouse wheel, or you can click the middle button and pan back and forth. You can also use this tool up here to rotate your views. Don't do that up here though, because you typically want this to remain the same. We'll get into viewports more later when we get into cameras, but for now that's about it. Thanks for watching, and Geek Patrol signing out. Make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube and like us on Facebook.